So what do we need to make this rig? Well, the first thing you need is a nice durable snap link swivel. Lots of you will be familiar with snap link swivels. Alright, there are lots and lots out there on the market, different brands, but just make sure you get one that's nice and durable. There are some that are quite brittle, they're a thinner gauge metal, and they're just not tough enough in my opinion, and I've had quite a few break on me, so just be careful when you're selecting your snap link swivels. These are all matrix ones, and that's because I'm happy with them and I don't have any problems with them. This next bit that you need is quick change hook length adapter. Alright, and that basically allows you to quickly and easily, it allows you to build a little bit of flexibility into the rig, which I'll show you in a moment, but it also allows you to quickly and easily change the hook length with that little hook there. Okay, and then the final bit that you need is some of these float rubbers, or rubber stoppers as some people call them. Alright, again, these are the matrix ones, but there are loads and loads out there. I like these because they're nice and tight. Some don't grab your line very tight, okay, so just when you are selecting the ones that you need for the job, just make sure that they do grip your line nice and tight, because if they're going to move, they're not going to work properly, okay. And that's all we need to make this rig. So the first thing that we do is we get the end of your line and we need to slide on one of these rubbers. Slide that on, okay, then slide that up your line out of the way. Okay, and that's gripping the line really nice. Alright, then what we need to do then is we need to thread on the quick change swivel, thread that on there, and slide that up to the stopper. So there we go. Now the next thing we need to do is slide on another one of the rubber stoppers, and that then is going to trap the swivel that we've just put on. And you'll see how it gets its name, helicopter rig, in a moment. So we'll slide that one on, we'll slide that up, and there we go. So that has actually trapped the swivel, and if I spin it round, there we go, you can see how it gets its name, helicopter rig. Alright, now it's up to us how we fish with this rig. We can have that so that that is actually moving, or we can actually trap it, which will make it more of a bolt rig. Alright, so there's less movement there, but that's something we can talk about at a later stage. So we've slid those on there. So then this next bit is again at the bottom of your line down here. What we need to do is thread on your snap link swivel. There we go. Now for this bit, I always found it easier to just put a bomb onto the swivel, and that just makes this bit a little bit easier. So I'm just going to thread a bomb on there onto the snap link swivel. Then what we need to do is put this swivel, the snap link swivel, into a twizzled boom. Alright, now this might take a little bit of practice, but once you've got it, it's dead easy to do. All we do is, you're going to move your thumb away from your body against your finger. So that's the motion. Alright, so you're going to move your thumb away from your finger, and what that's going to do is twizzle the line. Alright, and you'll see it in action. So if I do that action now, it's going to cross the lines over, and you can see it's actually twizzling the two lines together. Alright, so that's really going to trap the swivel in there. Now, just a little bit of a key detail or a tip for you. As you can see, the swivel is in quite a large loop at the bottom, and we don't want that. We want to avoid that, because that could only lead to tangles and problems when you're actually fishing. Alright, so a little trick here is, if I just open that back out again, like that, so I go down to the swivel, it's reduced the size of that loop near the swivel, and then put it back together again, and that's tightened it right up. Alright, and I like to go up about between 8 and 10 centimeters, and I just trap it. So I've trapped those two together now. So that swivel is within that twizzled, you can call it a boom, it is a boom, but it's a twizzled boom. Alright, so all I'm going to do then is knot it off, and I like to knot it off twice, so, and then thread the bomb through, and then thread it through again, so that's twice, and that's just to make sure it doesn't slip. Slide the knot up, pull it nice and tight, and then you can trim that end off, obviously making your rig nice and tight. And that's knotted off now, that's not going to slip, so that's going to be really nice and strong. And then what we can do is slide these two rubber stoppers down to that knot. Alright, so what you've created there is the rig. That is all the rig is. Alright, so what you've got is you've got your main line coming down here. That then goes to where your hook length is going to be connected. Because you've got a knot there, those rubbers can't slide any further down, so they're always going to stay that distance away from your feeder. And because you've twizzled this section here, if you were fishing a natural venue, sometimes on natural venues you might be fishing near features, there might be rocks, there might be ledges, slopes and that sort of thing. When you're reeling in, this is where your feeder is. The bottom end of the rig, this section here, is the bit that's going to get all that abrasion where it's going to be hitting that snag. And because you've doubled it up like that, you've just given that an extra little bit of double strength. Alright, so you've strengthened the rig as well. And when you're fishing, you can leave the rubbers like that together, or what we often find is, or what we like to start off by doing, is just by having a gap in between them both, and that'll just allow the fish a little bit of movement when it takes the hook length, because the hook length's attached to this bit here. You just simply hook your hook length onto that hook, slide the sleeve over so it traps it, but by doing that you're just giving the fish that little bit of movement so that the fish can move a little bit, and then it hits against one of the rubbers here, and that's when it pulls the hook into the fish's mouth. So that is the helicopter rig. It's a fantastically versatile rig. You know, you can move those rubbers around, and like I say, it's tangle free, so it's a rig that's got a lot of people out of trouble over the years when the wind's been in a bad condition or bad direction. And it's one that is classed as a fixed rig, so be very, very careful. If you're fishing a fishery where they only allow free running rigs, this rig isn't allowed, so please be very, very careful.